So please continue eating, but as you're enjoying your lunch, let me ask you to all take a deep breath and get comfortable in your seats. And for just a moment in time, I'm going to ask everyone in here to think back to high school. Your high school days. What were you like in high school? Turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor in 20 seconds your favorite band you listened to when you were in high school. There's one class in particular. In fact, I'm tempted here in Tupelo to ask, what did your hair look like in high school? Because I had some good big hair in high school. But there's one class in particular I want you to reconnect with in your mind, and that is U.S. history. Do you remember taking American history when you were in high school? For some of it, it was part of our 10th grade curriculum. For some of you, depending on where you grew up and went to school, it may have been a requirement in the 11th grade. But my question for you at lunch today truly is this: do you remember the name of the person who taught you history when you were in high school? And for most of us in Mississippi, it was usually one of the football coaches. So what I'm going to ask you to do again is turn back to that same neighbor and tell your neighbor the name of your history teacher in high school if you remember. So who in here remembered instantly that you saw that person's name? You even remember where you said, or who was yours? I heard you talking about your teacher.
I don't remember his name, but he was great.
He was a good history teacher. You said yours was Coach Kelly. Coach Kelly, mine was Coach Wilson. So imagine you were sitting in your desk one day, minding your own sweet business, just waiting for the bell to ring. And all of a sudden, Coach Kelly walks through the doorway and tells everyone with a very serious expression, put your books under your desk and take out a clean sheet of paper. What was about to happen? How many of you in here remember the term pop quiz? Brings back fond memories. Well, guess what? We're kicking off our lunch with the source with a quick pop quiz. And this is the part where you can boo and moan and groan in agony because you cannot believe I'd make you take a test during your lunch. So just to get it all out of your system collectively, I say it again and I'll ask everyone to respond accordingly. We're kicking off our time today by taking a pop test. But would it help you if I told you you have permission to cheat on this pop quiz? So take a look at the people you are sitting next to. I hope you're sitting by someone really smart this afternoon. Good. So let me go ahead and set the stage for this pop quiz. As Mary Stratton was so kind to introduce me, it is true, between 1997 and 2002, I served on the faculty of the American Management Association. Every year, the AMA publishes the Book of List, and you have seen these in doctor's offices, dentist waiting rooms. It's a book of almost any hard-to-imagine topic under the sun. For instance, they usually kick off the list with the top 10 languages spoken by the most people globally. And just out of curiosity, according to our 2018 Book of List, any idea what the #1 language spoken by the most people possibly is? What do you think?
Mandarin.
Mandarin, yes, #1. English was 5th on the list this year. But for our purposes, we're not looking at the top 10 languages. We in here today are going to be looking at the list of the top 10 fears. These are the top 10 fears and phobias that will leave many people trembling in their seats and shaking in their shoes. These are things that scare us and can make us very nervous. So your job, your task at hand is to determine what these top 10 phobias are and how a couple of them on the list are relevant to why we are at lunch today. Now, to help you with this, there is a survey box on the top page of your learning guide. You'll see the numbers 1 through 8. That number 8 will be significant for you in just a moment. But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. And again, don't make this overly complicated. If you can just fill in the blank, fear of blank. Simple as that. Fear of blank. Chances are, if it is something you are scared of, it probably made this list. I'll ask that you get with a couple of people seated around you. I've set aside 2 minutes for you to come up with as many as possible. And when we come back together as a group, we'll discuss them and our solutions for them during lunch, at least a couple of them. You have 2 minutes. Go. That the #1 fear is indeed the fear of having to stand up and speak in public. And of course, we're going to take that one and run with it in just a moment. But we have 2 strikes. We have 7 answers left. Let's see if we can uncover a few more. What do you think? Fear of sickness is on the list, and this year it came in at number 6 on our list, being diagnosed with a serious illness or sickness. Good. Who else has one? Let me see some hands. Yes?
Job loss.
Fear of job loss comes in at number 4 on our list. Financial loss, job loss, and the results from that. Good. Who else has one to share? Something you're scared of? Yes?
Commitment.
Oh, that might be the next lunch with the source. That might be next month's fear of commitment. Unfortunately, survey says, so let's reveal these. Now, again, you have seen Steve Harvey do this enough on Family Feud to know how this works. I'm going to reveal number 2, and I'm going to ask all of you to say it with much enthusiasm and passion as we reveal the remaining answers. Are you ready? Number 2. Hives, that's good, that's good. Number 3, now this cracked me up because this was a tie.
Snakes and spiders.
Very good, yes. Number 5. Number 7. Fear of death is always in the top 10. Just to recap, everyone, if I could have your attention at the slides, fear number 3 this year was the fear of snakes, which tied with fear of spiders. I know. Number 2 is the fear of heights, and number 1 was the fear of speaking in public. And I think it's very important right now that we distinguish between public speaking and presentation skills. This is not a public speaking luncheon. You may not all consider yourselves to be public speakers, but you are all professional presenters. And when I work with women in leadership, and as what I tell my corporate clients is, in your line of work, and I had a chance to get around to meet a lot of you, but in your line of work, I would dare say every day is a presentation. Every day is an interview. Every day is a presentation. Women, when we wake up in the morning and open our closet doors to decide what we are going to wear that day based on the places we will go, the people we'll meet, and the things we'll be doing, and when we hop in our always clean car with the clean, shiny exterior, the fresh smelling interior with no dead French fries in the back seat, because you never know who's going to need to hop in your car and drive somewhere with you that day. And our cars are an extension of our professional presence. I know. When you get to work and someone new comes into your workplace and you stand up and you walk out from behind your desk or work area and you extend your hand to say hello to that other person, your presentation of yourself and your organization has begun. For that matter, every time you answer your cell phone, you are presenting yourself to the person on the other end of the line. And every time you press send on an email, you are presenting yourself with the world. PowerPoint is not the number 1 most frequently used presentation tool. It's email. We present ourselves hundreds of times a day. What do our emails really say about us? And for many of you, those of you who do wear a name tag when you go to work, I see a lot of people with Bank Plus name badges on. So we're going to stop for a moment and have a quick Miss Manners tip. Name tags should be worn on the right side. And why is that? If you finished eating, I'll extend my hand to shake yours. My line of vision travels up her arm, falls on her sleeve, so I'm hearing her name and seeing her name at the same time. That way I'm going to be more likely to remember her name. Women, talking about presentation skills, have you ever been in the awkward position where you're meeting someone, you're saying hello, they've introduced themselves, they have told you their name, and you are standing there still talking with them and you realize, I don't know what her name is. It truly went in one ear and out the other. That's the worst. They've just told us and we weren't paying attention. Multitasking is the enemy for us. We have way too much on our minds. When we're meeting someone, one of the most common courtesies we can pay them is remembering their name. Now, name tags do help, but name tags are worn high and to the right. So I'm going to ask everyone in here to raise your right hand in the air. Place it over your heart. Rip off that name tag on your left and replace it on the right. Our big 3 here. Number 1 is our message. Our message. This is our content. This is what we have been asked to share with a group. It could be a group of 3 people around a conference table. It could be a group of 30 people we are meeting with. How we open it, how we close it, and how we can use stories more to drive our point home. I don't know about you, but I think some of the best speakers I've heard in my career are the best storytellers. And if we can remember a story, and we remember those stories weeks and months later, we remember that story, we can remember the point the story was trying to make. So that's our message. How can we be better at telling our stories? Because people do pay attention to those. Our second aspect is our delivery of that message. And for those of you who've ever suffered an excruciatingly slow and painful death by PowerPoint, you know there's some bad delivery out there. There's some bad PowerPoint out there, and it is reproducing rapidly. You know what else falls under delivery? Like, we'll talk about vocal fillers. Women, if you walk out of this exit in about 20 minutes and you only change one aspect of your delivery, getting rid of those vocal fillers will be key. And there's one secret to doing just that, and we'll talk about that in about 15 minutes. And our last one is our non-verbal know-how. We say a lot without saying anything at all. We're going to look at one best practice with message, one best practice with delivery, one best practice with our nonverbals, and here are the ones I planned for you today, so you can take these away after lunch. So with our message, we're going to look at a technique you can use for formulating your talking points so you can think and speak on your feet with ease. It takes a little practice, but it works. The next one for delivery, we're going to get rid of those ums and uhs and some of those weird sounds we make with our mouths when we talk. And then with our nonverbal, we're going to learn how to leverage that and be more aware of it. What are some of your meeting and presentation pet peeves from the presenter standpoint? What do certain speakers and presenters do that absolutely will get under your skin and crawl? What drives you nuts? What do you see as a bad habit? You think, I really wish someone would help them with that. Or think about it this way. Let's say you are a little nervous before you stand up to speak to a group. Maybe it's a church group, your PTA, a big meeting at work. What are some of those telltale signs that you are nervous? How can someone look out at you and tell, oh, maybe she's not as comfortable with this? Because we don't want people reading us like that. How can we make sure that we're running effective meetings, that when we speak up, we're organized in what we're going to say and it comes across as very professional? How can you be in the audience and listen to a speaker and you could tell that person is not as prepared as he or she should be? That's what I'm looking for you to talk about here. What are some of these dead giveaways where we can tell people are nervous or not as prepared or not really bringing their A game to that presentation? Okay, facial expressions.
And talking too fast.
Oh. And yes, Southern women can talk too fast. I need someone who'd be willing to be my bad handshaking model to show what not to do with a handshake. Who'd come up here and join me for that? Who'll be my bad handshaker? Mary Stratton? Good. She and I, so first of all, she had her name tag on and I had mine on. It would be on the right for us to be able to see each other's names. And she has it there. Your hair was covering up. I didn't even see it there. Very good. Okay, there. So we're going to show you the 5 bad handshakes. Here's the first one. You're meeting someone and you go to shake hands and you miss. And you actually, but you end up kind of grabbing them around the fingers like this. You know, that's what practically happens, right? Yes. This one is called the knuckler. And you never want to get stuck in the knuckler, because what this tells people nonverbally is I'm only half-heartedly interested in what you're going to say. I'm not fully engaged in this conversation. Right. I'm really looking over my shoulder to see if there's someone better in the room to talk to. You know how that is? Never. Okay, so you don't want to get caught in the knuckler. Now, the worst thing you can do if you get caught in the knuckler is to say, oh, let's try that again. No, if you're stuck in the knuckler, you are stuck in the knuckler. There's nothing you can do about it. So here's the next one. The next one is the one you all thought of when we said bad handshake. What was it?
Dead fish.
Yeah, dead fish. That dead fish. I mean, that is the worst because, I mean, it's just chills. You're just sticking your cold, clammy, lifeless hand in someone else's. Now imagine you are interviewing. Imagine you are interviewing for a job and you begin that interview like this. What does the person read into that handshake?
So uncomfortable.
It is weak personality, not confident, not self-assured. and you've started at that spot in the interview. You're going to have to dig your way out of that first impression. Now, here's the next one. It's the opposite of the dead fish. It's the death grip. It's that person who intentionally squeezes the lifeblood out of your hands. And that person, you know some people in your life, you could probably call names, who have that intentionally too hard death grip. They come at it palms down. They force you to take that submissive palms up stance. And they're trying to tell you through that handshake, I am more important than you. What I have to say carries more weight. And then they add that little squeeze on the end. Squeeze on the end there, okay? Number 4, I want your opinion on this. I'm seeing more and more of it. What do you think about the fist bump in professional settings? No, I know we're not supposed to be changed, but here's what I'm afraid is going to happen. I'm afraid someone's going to go in for the bump, someone's going in for the shake, and then you've got that whole awkward exchange there. We need to stay away from that. And then the last one may surprise some of you. It's the two-hander. It's that person this one's called the politician's handshake. Yeah, it reeks of insincerity. I don't even know you, and you're grabbing with both hands like this. And the better I know someone, the farther at the bottom. So good, yeah, good. So it's a round of applause for our bad handshaker. Very good. So that only leaves room for the equality handshake. Who will come up and model the equality handshake? If you were ever taught business etiquette in class, this is how they would teach you to shake hands. Who'll join me up here? Great, thank you. Yay. Tell me your name.
I'm Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, thank you. She and I will do this in slow motion for you. This is the equality handshake. The handshake has nothing to do with the firmness of your grip. Okay? It's all in your connection. That's what a handshake is. And the goal of a good handshake is to have this webbed, fleshy part connect with the other person's webbed, fleshy part. So we'll do this in slow motion. You ready? All right, freeze here. This is going to be a really good handshake. Nice firm grip, 1 to 2 pumps, and then you exit the handshake. You do not linger. So we'll do that one more time. 1, 2, and then do not linger in the handshake. Ladies, that one is worth practicing. I'll have everyone stand up and shake hands with a few other people in the room. And I have something for you too, so hang here for just a moment.
I teach fifth manners to 5th or 8th graders, and we teach handshakes.
That's so good. That's so good. I have a 5th grader. I want him to be able to look someone in the eyes and give a good handshake. None of this high five stuff. That's good. When you stand up to speak, break that room into quadrants. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Pick someone in quadrant 1 and you talk to that person as if she is the only person in the room for 3 to 5 seconds. Then you move back to quadrant 2 and you talk to that person as if she is the only person in the room for 3 to 5 seconds. You are having a one-on-one conversation with her. Then you pick someone in quadrant 3 and you talk to that person as if she is the only person in the room for 3 to 5 seconds. And then you pick someone in quadrant 4 and you talk to that person for 3 to 5 seconds. This is what we call in the world of professional speaking how to work a room. You're making the people in that back row feel just as much part of the presentation as the people who decided to sit up front, and you're not forgetting the people in your peripheries. Now, you don't want to get in the habit of doing this because people pick up on that, but mix it up. Pick someone in quadrant 3, then move over to quadrant 2, then back over here to quadrant 4, and then to quadrant 3 again. Mix it up, and that way you don't do the one act with eye contact I would say most women are guilty of. You're always going to have that one person in the room that I like to call my happy face. This is that person who every time you look at them, they're smiling back at you. And they are nodding in agreement with everything you say. And they're laughing at all your jokes. And they love you and you love them to the point that because they're giving you that feedback you so desire, you'll focus on them more than anyone else at the risk of ignoring other people. Watch that in job interviews too. Maybe you're interviewing with a panel of 3 people, but you know there's one VIP. Don't focus all of your answers on that VIP at the risk of ignoring the other 2 people on that panel who do have some say-so. We say a lot with our eyes, for sure. So we've looked at those nonverbals. Let's talk about, we have 7 minutes left. Let's talk about how to get rid of the ums and the uhs. There's only one way to do this, and it's not hiring a speech coach like me to count them for you. You could do a presentation for me and I could say, because that's one of the things I assess. I could say, you said 67 times during that presentation. The next time you do it, you'll say it 68 times. So having someone point it out is not going to do you any good at all. And let's face it, how many of you have sat in meetings and watched people put tally marks on a sheet of paper every time someone said or I have sat at conferences and watched people in the audience do that. And at that point, are they even listening to the message anymore? No, those ums and those uhs have gotten so annoying they're counting them. I've sat in church and watched that happen. So this is distracting, it's annoying, and we say it without even realizing we're saying it. So what is the secret? Now you're going to boo when I say this. The only way you can be aware of this and correct it is to video yourself. Ugh. The video never lies. I still video myself twice a year, and I hate it. Because I always, you'll fix one aspect and then something ugly will move into its place. So let me walk you through exactly how you do it and how I work with people on doing this. This is out of Chapter R, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Here we go. 1 week prior to a big meeting, set up in surroundings similar to where you'll be speaking. Reserve a conference room if necessary. Invite some co-workers and colleagues in so that you will have an audience. Try to have at least 4 people watch you practice. If that's not possible at work, this is so important. We recommend you invite some friends over to your house, pop some popcorn for them, and explain you need a mock audience for taping purposes. Sadly, if you don't have that many friends, just arrange some chairs in the room. Set some pillows and stuffed animals in chairs to practice making eye contact. I know it sounds silly, but that is how I practice a new presentation. I place my children's action heroes in chairs in my living room, set the video behind it, and they make excellent eye contact. And then here's the key, and this is how this really works. Set that tape aside for 48 hours. And if you only want to write one number on that sheet, write the number 48. Set that tape aside for 48 hours. You tell me why you don't want to watch it immediately after you've taped it. Why not? You're too familiar with it, right? You maybe stumbled over words. I stumbled over the word tackle. I'm obsessed with that. In my mind, I really messed up saying the word tackle. I mean, it's always going to be something, but I had to say it 3 times before I got it to come out right. Well, I'm going to be listening for that when I watch this video later. I'm going to say, here it comes. This is where I messed up tackle. So you're too familiar with it. If you set it aside 48 hours later, you're looking at it with fresh eyes and a fresh mind, and you're not as familiar with it. And it's not just the ums and uhs. It's our favorite words, too. We all have favorite words we say entirely too often, and those will come to life on a video. What are some examples of some presenters' favorite words you hear them say? What are some examples of that? Like is a big one. Honestly. Oh, and when people say in a meeting, well, to be honest with you, that tells me I haven't been up until this point. But now I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, I can't stand that. What are some others? So, and starting sentences with so, and I found I get in the habit, if I'm tired, I'll start ending sentences with so. So I'll say something and say so. I'm like, why am I doing that? What was yours? Actually, that's basically at the end of the day. Goodness gracious, how much stuff happens at the end of the day? Well, at the end of the day, here's what really matters. So when you hear, you have one, Emily? You know. Oh, I can count the you knows. Or people who smack their lips when they're talking, you'll hear it on that tape, or nervous throat clearing, all of this weird stuff we do. Write it down. And that is how you get better. You have to make yourself sick of hearing it. If you are right-handed, please hold the card in your left hand. And if you are left-handed, hold it in your right hand. And here's how we're going to wrap things up. I know this is a very quick lunch talk, but here's what we're going to close out. Take the card and place it on top of your head and hold it there. And please don't take it down until I say so, because at the end of our time together, we're going to wrap up lunch today by having everyone in here draw the picture of a house. So grab your pen and draw the outside framework of a 2-story house and put the roof on it. No peeking. Okay. Well, now you need to be able to get inside your house. So now put your front door on it and 2 windows on the 2nd story so people can see outside. It's up to you if you want to put drapes in your windows. And listen, has it been cold this year or what? Let's put a chimney on our roof and have a little smoke billowing out of it because of a nice toasty fire going in the fireplace. And you and I spent a fortune on landscaping last spring, so let's put some lovely shrubbery to each side of our front door to make an attractive entrance to our home. You know, a home is nothing without the right landscaping to give it a little curb appeal, a little personality. And I think that's good enough. Everyone, take it down and look at it. Well, you know what this just goes to show you. You know what it just goes to show you. This just goes to show you when it comes to presenting ourselves on the job, it's never something we want to approach and just try to do off the top of our head.